Hello everyone, I'm Evelyn. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So, what are we building today? We are building, I want to say almost a tiny house, but I'm not really sure if it's a tiny house. I kind of stopped using the tile counter a little bit, simply because it's super annoying when it comes to exteriors and like platform views and stuff and roofing and everything. I've gone through that several times in voiceovers. We're not doing it again anyway. So I don't really know if it's a tiny house in the game, but I want to say that it's still pretty small. So, yeah. It's supposed to be sort of like a repurposed container home, but a luxury version, so I really tried to make it luxurious. I also had this idea that there's a fashion designer living in this house. They don't have the items needed for the career in The Sims. I don't really remember what that career is called, but the one where you're a stylist or something or a fashion designer, I don't really remember. I know the item, the board that you have to place on a wall, they don't have it in this house. I just wanted to decorate it so it looked like a fashion designer could live here, if that makes sense. Or you know what I mean. So that is the vibe that we're going for. And for the interior as well, I really tried to make it look luxurious too. It's very, very small. I just noticed, this is so random, has nothing to do with the build, but I always move my hands when I talk, when I do voiceovers. It's a habit by now. I don't really talk with my hands normally, but when I do voiceovers, they're just waving around. So the other day I'm a clumsy person. Okay, let me just preface this by saying that I am a clumsy person. I once broke a toe by running into a door. That's happened. I broke another toe by being stuck under floorboards and then running too. Basically, I should just not run inside homes. I should have learned my lesson by now. Anyway, I was about to go shopping yesterday and I probably hurried a little bit too much, and I think I knocked my hand on a door frame. Maybe it's just doors that are my problem. I don't really know. We're going off on a tangent right now, but it's fine. I think I knocked my hand on a door or on the fridge or something. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but my knuckles hurt so much today, and I just noticed because I hit my hand with my other hand. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? So yeah, that's a thing. Just so you know, if you're a clumsy person who gets hurt just by being at home, you're not alone in this world, okay? I'm with you. I'm right with you. So that's a thing. I feel like it's not even that long ago since I told you guys about how I accidentally got my finger stuck between my hip and the corner of the kitchen counter, and it basically caused so much pain because the kitchen counter basically hit right on top of my nails, and apparently they're very, very sensitive or something, so it hurt so much that I almost fainted. It's not that long ago since I've told you that story. It must have been like a month ago or something, and now we're back at it. We're hurt again. What's going on here? I gotta stop. I gotta just take it slow and avoid doors at all costs. Anyway, enough talk about that. I'm gonna stop waving my arms around like a crazy person when I'm talking, doing voiceovers. So, we are decorating this house. For the interior, tried to make it really luxurious, but I don't really... There's a lot of, like, the definition luxurious kind of changes person to person, so even for me, I feel like there's a lot of different interiors that could look luxurious. Doing a very luxurious interior for a tiny house is also a little bit on the harder side, I would say, because for me, luxurious interior is very like big and not a lot of furniture for some reason. It's very minimalistic, it's very quality over quantity, and you just have these like bigger spaces, and obviously with a tiny house you don't really have that. Everything is still kind of cramped together. There's not a lot of space and stuff. So I was just trying to make it very monochromatic and then with a pop of color in each room. So in the bedroom, on the lamps, there's a little bit of teal. In the living room, I don't remember what color I went with. It might possibly have been orange, which is unusual for me, but I found a rug swatch that I really liked with the couch. It was either that or yellow or blue. We'll see once we get to the living room. And then also for the kitchen, I think I ended up going with blue, possibly in the form of paintings, because it had to be just like a little bit of a pop of color, not a full-on piece of furniture, just like a decorative item or a lamp, basically. It's a bit cliche to do it like this, but I was just in the mood for it. And also, I want to say that I know that I've been doing smaller builds this week. It's just been a weird week for me. I've been sleeping really terribly, so I've just been easily distracted because I really can't focus when I'm just tired. I basically Wednesday could not function at all. So I'm gonna get back to building some bigger houses next week when I feel like I'm a little bit. I'm gonna sleep so much between Sunday and Monday. Yeah. But I am definitely gonna do some because there are some bigger houses. I scout on Pinterest quite often, so there's definitely some bigger houses that I want to do. Some of the things, like, I can find houses that I feel like look very interesting, such as this house actually is one that I found on Pinterest, and then when I started building in the Sims, it actually turned out that I hadn't really thought about this when I saw the picture, but the roofing wasn't really doable, so I ended up changing it also later on in the video, just so you know. Anyway, but it's easy to find houses that I feel like are pretty beautiful, would probably look good in The Sims. Maybe with a few adjustments, or maybe with a lot of adjustments, it would look good in The Sims. But then coming up with a theme for the house, I don't know. I'm at this point where I just really need an expansion pack or something to kind of spark a lot of ideas. Does that make sense? Like when we got cottage living, it was easy to come up with a lot of cottages to build. And when we got, maybe not Discover University, that was mainly dorm related, but you probably know what I mean. Like, I just need an expansion pack that's not futuristic. Please don't give me a futuristic expansion pack. I don't want it. No, thank you. But just something else, like a Generations expansion pack or something. That would just give so many, how would you say, like, a lot of ideas would bloom. I don't know how else to say it. You probably know what I mean. I think it's been suggested a couple of times by now that I should do builds that were inspired by some of the books that I read, so I might jump on that. We'll see. But because I also read a lot of books, like a lot of books. But for next week, I promise I'll do some, maybe not like big family homes, but I'll probably jump into a 40 by 30, maybe a 30 by 20, and we'll see for the rest of the week. So, but I will be doing some family homes next week because I've not been doing any this week, and I don't think last week either. I don't remember. It's been a very weird week for me. I just, we all have ups and downs. It's been a little bit of a weird one for me, so it's not even like mood-wise that it's been down, it's just I've been tired, so that's all I wanted to say. So we're doing some bigger builds next week, I promise you. Anyway, how far into the build are we now? We are in the kitchen. I actually really love this kitchen counter. The kitchen counter swatch, I should say. I was so close to going for the black and white ones because that's kind of the theme that we're going for with the rest of the furniture throughout this house, but I just didn't like how it looked with the flooring. So this is actually one of the newer swatches for the flooring, the gray one here. I love the original swatch for this floor, or just like that floor in general, so I'm so happy that they added extra swatches to it, and some of the swatches are pretty cool as well, like this gray one that I've been trying to use a couple of times by now. And I also really like the darker brown one that I think I've used as well. It's just really nice. I don't know, it's very clean. There's just something about this floor that I really find pleasing. So I wanted to try and see if I could make it work in gray as well. But there was something about that floor with the white and black swatch of the kitchen counters that I just did not like the look of. So I ended up going for the gray and white one instead. So it does stand out a little bit compared to the rest of the house because it is very black and white, but I hope that is okay. I don't know. Why would that even make a difference? It's just something that I thought about when I was decorating. Also, I know that it's super weird the toilet is in front of the window, but I was trying to find other windows that I could use that were a little bit smaller but in the same swatch so it wouldn't ruin all of the windows together on the house, or you know what I mean? And I just couldn't, so I had to stick with it and just pretend like you can't see in through the window when your sim is on the toilet, okay? Just pretend. We're just gonna pretend, and it's a game, so we can do what we want. The same counts for the big window where the bedroom is. I kind of imagined that they had this kind of fancy remote or something so that they could dim the windows so they wouldn't actually need blinds or curtains or anything like that. They could just kind of dim the window. Does that make sense? I think I've read about that in a book as well. I don't even know if it's a thing. I don't have fancy windows, okay? I've not been to a hotel that had these kinds of fancy windows. But I'm gonna pretend like there's like a dimming effect in the window so that when they go to bed and they don't want people to stare at them through the window, they can just use their little remote and dim the window so that people can't look in. It makes some sort of sense. I'm not really sure. So as for the landscaping for this house, I wanted to keep it absolute minimal. I feel like for the house itself, that's just what fit with it. And then we're also building in Evergreen Harbor, I think. I don't know, I'm really spacing out on like fully blanking on world names right now, but Evergreen Harbor, I don't remember what this area of Conifer Station, that just came to me. Conifer Station, yes, because there was a station in the background, yep. And it's built on a 20 by 15 as well, I think, so it's kind of like the tiny house lot for me when I built in Evergreen Harbor, but because of the surroundings, I just wanted the landscaping around the house to be minimal, and again also compared to like the house or what fit with the house, it just made more sense. And then here is what I changed up the roofing as well a little bit. I added this meant I had to add new lamps, by the way, so that's what we're doing right now, because obviously you can't really place loft lamps when there's window or glass roofing, so I had to add lights in some other way. It's a little bit dim in there, but I feel like a little bit dark, but I feel like it's okay. It just, let's call it atmospheric, mood lighting. That took so much effort to remember, but mood lighting, that's what we're gonna go with. Yep, so that's the vibe in there. But I also like how it looks though. It just adds a little bit something extra to the container home, if you will. My hand hurts so much, this is ridiculous. Anyway, just to touch on that again. I can't sit still when I do voiceovers, I just can't. So as for the backyard, I kind of tried to play around with levels for this, so it might look a little bit weird. I feel like it works, but it's definitely a little bit on the experimental side. You'll see in just a second, because I kind of made this, I wanted them to have a fire pit, which I don't know, because I had this idea that, like I said before, that there was a fashion designer living in this house, someone who's very like environmentally aware, or you know what I mean. So that's why they live in a container home. But they love to have friends over and like have drinks, maybe backyard parties and stuff like that. So I needed them to have both a place where their guests could sit and chill and talk to each other. So a fire pit made sense to me. I also needed them to have a barbecue, a place where they could sit and eat, but also a bar. So I decided to, you'll see in the end, but for this little fire pit situation, I decided that I wanted it to be in a level that was lower than the pool. So we're playing around with some platforms and it looks a little weird going into it. I feel like it works in the end, but that might just be my opinion. I'm not really sure. You're allowed to have your own opinion, of course. And then we also add for the bar, and also for the barbecue, where they could sit and eat and drink. I add this bar table as well. That is from Dine Out right there. So it's not like they can't really sit around the table, but they can sit alongside the table, if that makes sense. Because there's probably someone standing at the bar making the drinks and then handing them over the railing, kind of, so they sit there and take the drinks. Does that make sense? I don't know. I was trying something. I feel like it worked out when I built it. You know, you're allowed to have your own opinion, but it's experimental and it was fun. So that is basically it. As for the rest, we're just fixing the pool, fixing some landscaping. I change it up a little bit as well after this, and I think that is pretty much about it. So let's wrap it up. Let's wrap up this voiceover. Yes. If you like this build, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, the tray files can be found on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box down below. If you like lifestyle videos or books videos, check out my other channel, which will be linked to in the pinned comment, as well as under my link tree that you can find in the description box. And that is all I got for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down.